when I was doing my tune-up on the car here, I had extreme difficulty getting to number 1 spark plug because of the engine has dropped right here, and it seems to have done that on both sides. So what we have here is somebody built a Baja. I can just about tell you exactly what happened. Somebody got a Baja kit on a car, it changed hands a few times, and somebody decided, hey, we're having a few beers and a good time, let's go out and see what this thing will do. Found some little bump or knob or something, and they were jumping it to see how much air they could catch and how far they could go. And this is not a real Baja. This is a street version look-alike Baja. And what's happened is all the way to the engine, and all that force has caused the engine to, the frame horns to bend. I talked one of the fabricators, metal fabricators at work, into letting me have this for the weekend. I told him I'd bring it back. Might have to weld a few things on it, but I guess I better say right now from the get-go, be extremely careful. Anytime you're working around this heavy weight, use jack stands, be careful, triple check, double check, every move you make, think ahead of the stresses that you're putting on things, and wear the proper safety gear, stay out from pinch points and underneath vehicles at all times. And I'm gonna repeat that during the video because I'd hate to hear about somebody getting hurt trying to duplicate what I'm gonna do. Square, my floor is pretty much dead level across, and I've got like an inch more drop on the right, and the left has to come up too. So it was bent cold, so I'm gonna check for cracks and different things. It does not affect the operation of the car. We've been having a great time in it. I don't feel anything unusual, but we're going to try to bend this thing back. I think I want to drop this engine anyhow. I have a lot of confidence in it, but I do not like what's happened to the paint and the color scheme that they used. I want to do a little detailing and cleaning on the motor. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is get the car jacked up and make sure we're on a flat level surface. Make sure that our jack stands are on something really solid. This is not on sheet metal. I'm on the torsion bar frame, which is a steel tube on the rear, and the front ones are on the front axle beam. All solid pieces of metal. And we've got our garage floor here. Okay, it looks fairly level on this one. So then the car front to rear, if we're going to do some straightening and measurement, we got to have good measuring points. So we're at the bottom of the frame rail. I don't know that that's the best spot, but it looks like a good flat spot, and it looks like the front of the car is higher than the rear, but I think that's just an optical delusion, maybe because of the paint scheme. So the car's sitting level and we're up off the floor, and we're going to take the tires off to get them out of the way, and we're probably going to take the rear bumper off and start getting down to the meat of things here. Alright, here we go, first try. I hope OSHA isn't watching. What we've got is the frame horn is right up here. This is the sheet metal. This is what supports the transmission and the engine. It does not touch the body at that point. So I've got this block of wood. It's pushing up on the frame horn. Both sides are bent. I'm favoring the other side with my floor jack. I've got it resting on this 1/4 inch thick steel 4x4. It's completely off the ground there. I've gone around the forward part of the frame horn and where the trailing arm mounts. Be careful, there's a brake line over there, you don't want to crush that. And then I've got the beam is 6 feet long. I've placed a block of wood there. It has raised that end, and it's touching the floor pan. So it's going to be hitting before I'm done. It looks like it's on the center there. Maybe I should get something on this front part. And the reason I'm trying to do this with the engine in place, you know, this isn't any brain surgery here, you know, guys. This is they have frame machines that do all this, but they're anchored down, and they're probably safer because they're anchored down and they're designed for that. I'm just trying to offer a suggestion, and I don't know if this is going to work. I have had trailing arms right there actually bend and tweak from flying through the air out on the sand dunes for years, and I have straightened those using chains and a floor jack. So I'm just testing the water here, and the weight of the motor is going to affect the final resting point. You're going to have to overbend this in order for it to be in the proper spot when it's relaxed. Now, I don't think I've got enough clearance between the firewall, because there's this oil cooler in the back here, and I can't even get my hand in there now. So well, let's I'll put you on the tripod, and let's there's the point in question, and wish I could get, there we go, get it as wide angle as I can. Let me move you out a little bit more. This is okay. So what we're trying to do is, when it's at rest, we want this to line up with this sheet metal here. So I'm starting to push up with the jack, and you expect it's going to move some. I'm not sure at what point we're actually, I'm not putting that much force on it. Double check everything, be as safe as you can. This is a relatively dangerous procedure. You've got things in tension, and if something breaks, it could drop or stay completely clear. Have the proper safety clothes on. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Okay. Wow. Wow. I do not understand why that suddenly moved, but it certainly did. You saw it. I think I'm still on the floor jacks. Boy, it's almost like the motor mount was screwed up and caught. Put a little more tension here. Oh man. Okay, now we've definitely got the right side higher than the left. I'm going to relax the tension and see where it settles out at. Ha! Looky there. Holy crap. Ha! This is what I was shooting for, and I've relieved the tension. Guys, I think we got it. Now, I wasn't pushing on the transmission. I was pushing on the frame horn with the block of wood. And, yeah. Wow. Now the right side is definitely higher than, right side's higher than the left. So now I gotta get this other side. I gotta go underneath there and have a look around and see what happened. I'll turn you off for a bit. I've got the camera on the tripod. This is what the setup is. The left side is the top underneath the pan of the car. So I've got my cherry picker leg there. This is acting like a big fulcrum, and it comes back to the chain. That is the pivot point, and that is on a, that's very close to, that's a very strong spot. That's where the frame horn comes off the torsion bar. That is the main member of the pan, where it attaches to the tunnel. Alright, now I'll come back here, get you back in perspective. I did a little measuring, and the right side was an inch lower than the left, looking at it under the frame horn, measuring to the floor from under the frame horn. And now the left side is a ½ inch lower. And it moves suddenly, not exactly. Okay, there's the front part is, it's got so much force. This is really a big force multiplier. I don't know. Got a lot of tension here. Be careful. There's a lot of wrapped up pressure there. Okay, see that? That was a good thing. I'm gonna have to overbend it a little bit. Okay, now we're gonna relax it a little bit. Okay, so, okay, there's no weight on it. And now I'm gonna measure. Alright, we're still on the jack stands, and I've relieved all the pressure. I'm going to grab the motor by the exhaust on both sides. The motor mounts and the engine's shaking. All the weight is being carried from the normal motor mount position. I've got a primitive, I'm just using my carpenter square here, and I'm going to measure. I'm just going to slide it. I don't care what the number is. I'm just trying to compare the two. And I've got a tight fit here. I don't know how precise this is on this old piece of wood, but I'm going to, here we go. It's maybe a 1/16 of an inch higher on the right side. I am not going to worry about that. I think for, yeah, maybe I got a 1/16 of an inch here too. Let it relax. Alright, we got it close enough. At any rate, we got it close enough. I'm happy with that. I'm not exactly sure. I tried to spread it out. I don't see anything deformed or cracked. I'm going to look the situation over here and see how I can reinforce this. Although I'm sure that this was caused by severe abuse by previous owners, and I am not that type of a person, so I'm not really worried about it. I will get myself a baseline measurement and etch it into the metal someplace, or put it someplace that can't be lost, and periodically I'll just go ahead and take a measurement and see where I'm at. Maybe if I get back from a rough rocky ride or something like that. But that's going to give me, the way I figure it, a whole 1.5 inches more clearance underneath the contact point, underneath my engine here, underneath the rear of the car. That will slightly alter the angle of my CV joints. This was a very good thing. You'll recall this left rear axle bearing was broke. I think that probably, you know, it may have all occurred at the same time. Maybe somebody hit a ditch with it. It's hard to say. I can see where the exhaust is banged in here. You know, hey, it's a toy, kind of an expensive one. But if you look at the cost of an ATV or a side-by-side, you know, what I paid for this is much, much less. And I can fit a group of people in here and stay dry and have a lot of fun. It's okay for me. It might not be okay for you or everybody else, but it's okay for me. The replacement motor mounts that I have aren't the late model ones. I've got motor mounts. I'm jiggling it like this. It's suspended, and I wanted to do all this with it in place so that the geometry and alignment would be somewhat correct. When you're straightening something out, bending it back the way it was, you want to try to reverse the forces of energy that caused it to go the way it did in the first place. I don't know. I'm just a hack messing around in the garage, and I feel better, a lot better. I think I'm going to have a cup of coffee, go in and watch your video, and then we'll put this thing back together. I still might pull the motor. And it looks like it's going to be a wet weekend. I'm happy. I'm going to celebrate with a cup of coffee. A cuppy.